back to another segment of Overtime ATL. I'm your host, Terrence Carson, along with my co-host, Leroy Saunders. And, of course, we can't forget our boy, Daryl Brooks, that is out there, out and about in the city doing what he does for us. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, you know how we do it each and every time we come to you and, well, whatever. We're talking today to someone that you are very familiar with. We call him, actually, you may not know him, Silas Alexander, otherwise known as Simon Baby. You know what? He's got a brand new host, somebody else hosting with Simon, which is very new for him as well as for us. We didn't know this. You know this guy, though. We call him Mr. Treat him right, Mr. Chubb Rock. We are interviewing them both on Overtime ATL today. We're going to talk to both of these guys about their show called The Ride, as well as individually to find out what they're doing in the ATL. Guys?
How you doing?
Simon, sir?
Super fantastic. It's an honor to be here with you.
We appreciate you having us on the show.
Excellent. Chubb, how you doing, sir?
Doing well, man. Harlem boy, what's going on with you?
Brooklyn, stand up. How you doing,
man.
sir?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we just got Cy upset about that.
No, I'm not upset.
That's how we do it.
I love y'all from New York.
That's how we do it.
I love all you guys from New York. I love you.
You understand? We take it over.
So let me ask you, how did we get Eatonton, Georgia,
Yes.
and Brooklyn to come together and form this show?
Short answer, God did it. We didn't do it.
That's beautiful.
Honestly, because I've admired Chubb and his music for years. He had has a show on the station called Digging in the Crates, and it's an awesome show that plays a lot of old school hip hop and a lot of features every week with my man DJ Bentrock out of New York. And he came in and I went on vacation back in 2013. Chubb was gracious enough to sit in for me while I was on vacation and came back and bugged out with me during the summer last year, and we just looked at each other and said, why don't we just keep this going? And it was fun. It's been great for me. So that's why I said God put it together. It wasn't us. It wasn't man.
That is one awesome collaboration. It's not too often we get to see prominent black men doing things in a positive image, being portrayed as such we are in the media, but to see two gentlemen like this doing their thing, making it go. I'm curious, though, because we got old school and someone who's from Eatonton, Georgia, representing the Dirty South. And Chubb is strictly the new generation, but he's also old school, Run DMC, the North. I know you guys battle and go at it every now and then.
Oh, old school, man. I'm old school. See, what happens is Cy is a young guy. He's not as seasoned as myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm older than him. See, when you have green eyes.
What now?
When you have green eyes,
what now?
you just don't understand certain things. The green eye thing makes me, in a different world.
The green eye thing makes you uncomfortable? Is that what you're saying?
I come in and just give them that, that knowledge, because, I'm older. Everything I'm saying is foolish.
I'm like, okay, because I was around. I helped you learn how to ride a bike. You talking about you older than me?
Yeah, there ain't nothing like that. The reality is the synergy is more than radio because people say to us all the time and say to me when I'm on the street, man, you guys sound so in sync.
Right.
And sometimes I don't know who's talking. Yeah. We go, and it's like, man, it isn't just the sync of the radio, it's also the sync of friendship. I'm able to come and really have a new friend. You don't think you're going to meet new friends at 40-something, 46 years old, but you get these new friends. So that's with him beyond radio. Radio can go away, and I'm still going to, be at his house, trying to make a sandwich in his refrigerator, not asking him, stuff like that.
That's a beautiful thing.
That's friendship when you let a man in your refrigerator.
That's right.
So it's just a godsend. So
That's beautiful. Quick question for who came up with the name The Ride. Where did The Ride come from?
It wasn't me. It was
actually no. The Ride was our program director.
Really?
Yeah. But I had a student because I've worked with a lot of interns over the years, and I had a student. Who was an intern back in the day, say, you know what, you mentioned doing a show called The Ride about 10 or 12 years ago. I'm like, I did? I forgot about it. So I guess it was just destined to be that way. But in this instance, it was our program director that came up with it, Derek Harper.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. But don't forget, I want people to know, Chubb Rock was pre-med. and did attend the University of Brown University.
Yeah, that
Chubb
was-
Rock is extremely smart.
Back then. You know, it's over now.
It's over now.
No, don't believe that.
You know what it is. You don't know where you're gonna go through with life. You know,
Right.
When we were making those records, we were coming out of high school and going to college, and we would come back on. You know, like even when we did Soul Train, we were all in school. You know, we tell the story to Shy all the time. Everybody on the stage at Soul Train was in school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the time, Hot Dog, Swinger, everybody was in school. So there was a lot of stress to just keep the music going, but not disrupt school. So
Right.
we would go and try to ask, can we leave early? Because everybody got to go back and stuff like that. So, but it was good times, and you know, that whole movement of school education was kind of our thing. And Kumo D's and Kid and Plays. These are all the, Tracy Lee. These are all the guys that were always in school while we were all making records together.
Absolutely.
We never really advertised that, but you know, we were all in school, and some of that is missing now because I don't think you really hear about hip hop in school no more. But
No,
you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
not at all.
You know, actually, since you're talking about that, what do you feel is the music, the influence of the music? How does it influencing a lot of the artists today, or black men in general? You talked about, you know, the artists were in school. You guys were progressive, doing positive things. What about now? Are the artists today in school, or they're just it's all about the money, the dollars? Of course, I know with hip hop, but in R&B, how is that?
You want to take
No,
that?
no, go ahead.
I don't know. I think I don't really hear anything about school
No.
and music now from any artist,
Right.
not just urban artists. I don't hear about it at all. You know, the Miley Cyruses of the world. I don't hear nothing about school.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's just a whole thing that goes on now. You know, I think school, you know, these young kids came up with this term of just everything being corny because you want to get education and
Absolutely.
everything like that. So we're trying to find ways around that, you know, that nonsense right there, because that's what they believe. You know, it's who's driving Bentleys and
Right.
all this other kind of stuff. You know, I always tell people, I'm one of the rappers, and my boy Redman he'll say it too on a TV show. And people look at him, I'm like, oh, I don't have no kind of Maybach, Bentleys, Bugatti money.
Right.
If I did, it would not go to those things.
Okay.
You know, we got good cyanide. East Side Banks, we talk about how much school costs for our kids.
Yep.
And, you know, we got
That's
to
real stuff.
we got to
Yeah.
pay these tuitions, and it ain't easy. So we're not in that world, like where music kind of went now. Music kind of got into this real money braggadocious type of thing, and whether or not those guys and those ladies are making that kind of money, I really don't know. But some of the art now has just been thrown down a lane of money, and that's not where we come from. So.
Okay. You know, I got a quick question. Going to Sideman, actually, since you've been in the industry for so long, 30 plus years, what has kept you relevant? Why are you still a key player when so many others have come and gone? I was reading something the other day. Carol Blackman is still trying to stay relevant, doing TV commercials and things like that. But Sideman is still Sideman. That name is still known, especially in the Atlanta area.
Well, I appreciate that. And Carol Blackman does a show before us every day from 10 to 3, and she's
Really?
doing her thing. She's very, very relevant, and right now she's number one. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
number
yeah.
one. So you know that'll keep you in the game. You know what
Yes.
I mean? But otherwise, I mean, we try to stay up. We as much as I don't necessarily personally like to do social media stuff.
Okay.
That's where the world is. So we try to touch on that and stay in touch with what the world is looking for.
Okay.
Otherwise, you know, I try not to rock the boat. I
Right.
like to be on the radar enough to get a check, but just below the radar so I don't get swiped off, you know. And so I don't like to make a whole lot of waves. The company's been good. They made a change a long time ago because I used to do mornings when Radio 1 had 102.5, and then they
Yes.
brought on Steve Harvey. When they did that, you know, they could have let me go. They could have said, like most stations would say, we have a new morning show host, old host, peace out.
Right.
They didn't do that. They kept me on the staff
Yes.
at nights, but, you know, it wasn't glamorous. I just kind of had to tread water for a little while until God brought me Chubb Rock. And now we're doing the afternoon show with my producer, Jody Banks, and we're all just, you know, we're doing our thing. We're having fun and trying to just relate to people in a space that they are.
No. And he answered that question, and it shouldn't have probably been his question to answer.
Okay.
As a person look from the outside looking into him, I'm not a person that likes that word relevant. You're relevant. You wake up in the morning, you're relevant, right? God wakes you up, you're relevant.
Absolutely.
But what kept him going is just the integrity of him. You can walk on any block in Atlanta, anywhere here. There's no one that's going to say a negative thing about him.
That's right.
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? So those things, what keeps him going for all these years. It's an opposite thing.
Right.
It ain't the fact that he's proud to be on the air here. The air should be proud to have him on.
And I'm sure we are. Yes.
You
we
know,
definitely
so
are.
and I say that as a person who watch him every day, learn from how he hits the mic, how he does his promos and everything. You know, he is the backbone of the station. You know, I'm a guy that came in through a different thing, music, and I was always trying to learn, and I've been in it 13 years now, and I feel I'm still learning. And I get a good teacher to watch him, how he does the stuff, but that's what keeps him just on and on and on is the integrity, his honesty. He's always the first one here, the last one to leave unless he has to go do remotes.
Right.
And he's just always prepared to give more than what the average jock is willing to give.
Yeah, I gotta buy you lunch. Doggone it! I gotta buy you food, man.
Nah, tomorrow, yeah. We're gonna go choo-choo.
Those are indeed definitely some glowing words. But Si, I want to ask you: did you see yourself when you first started out to where you are today? To the point I assume back then you were Silas Alexander.
Yeah.
To now you are Si Man Baby. Did you ever envision it going?
Well, I was young. When you're young, you always, when you start playing basketball in, junior varsity, you think you're ready for the NBA. Right. So, yeah, I thought I would be okay. In my mind, I didn't know how long I would last, but I thought I would hit a plateau. And I've been blessed. What can I say? I've been blessed. And I've done some radio, done some TV. But all of that aside, it's the wonderful people that have come into my life that helped me get through all of this.
It's beautiful.
How'd you get the name Si Man?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask.
That's a great story.
Yes. Yeah, well, my name is Silas Alexander. So Si Man came from a friend of mine named Dave Kirpius. He's now working down at LSU. But we used to work at a TV station in Macon. I was a weatherman, believe it or not. You see me as a TV weatherman. I was on the NBC station in Macon. So he would walk around and say, Si Man, Si, you the man, Si Man. So I was Si Man. Yes. So I came here to work for a station here in Atlanta, and on the air I was Si Man. And one night a 14-year-old kid from Stone Mountain called me, and I don't remember his name, but he said, "Is this Si Man?" I said, "Yeah, this is Si Man." He said, "Baby." I said, "I kind of like that."
That's all right.
Okay, that's done. So starting that night, I said, "This is Si Man, baby," and kept it going. And now when I walk in the grocery store, I say, "Hey," they say, "Who are you? You look familiar." I said, "Si Man." "Oh, Si Man, baby." They got to sing it. They got to sing it. So it's been good.
Now, you mentioned of introductions or meeting different people. Of all the people you've met, the 14-year-old obviously had an impact.
Right.
Of all the celebrities you've met in all these years you've done this, who has had the most influence or has been the most impressive that you've met in all the years of radio?
Chubb Rock.
Wow.
That's deep.
Without a doubt.
That's deep.
Chubb Rock.
That's deep.
Because he made an impact on me, but, when he came in, he just started talking about his history, telling stories. And I'm like, man, you need to put all this in a book, man, because you have lived a little bit, brother. Yes. And then not only to be a person with a lot of history, he was willing to come in and work with me.
Yes.
I mean, that's why I said God put this together, man, because he willingly came down, spent his time to invest in the show and invest in this project and this mindset for it to become what it has. So Chubb Rock, without a doubt.
And that means a lot.
Coming from him.
Speaking of Chubb Rock, your videos have been playing since I was a young man in high school, all these other things. World known. Worldwide, you are Chubb Rock. It's an honor for us to even be here. You tell us, Chubb Rock, what brought you here?
It was as Sai said earlier, we came up with a radio show called Digging in the Crates.
Yes.
And we wanted to syndicate it because we felt that, I'm on this mission to kind of reintroduce hip hop to people because
Yes.
I think now they have a bad definition of it. So we came up with this show to try to redefine hip hop, starting with our classic time.
Yes.
And we were just so blessed that Derek Harper and Radio One said, "Hey, we want the show in Atlanta." And my mom, because I have some cousins that live here, and my mother was always saying, that you should move there, because I hated the snow, even though I'm a Brooklyn guy, but hated the snow. And then the kids were getting older, and they wanted to go to school. My daughter wants to go to Spelman, and it just seemed like, man, I think this might be the right trip. And I don't know what was happening. I was just home one day, and I just felt like, you need to go to Atlanta.
Wow.
And came, and people probably thought I was crazy because I was coming to Atlanta for a syndicated show, but it's still a show that was just on for one, at the time in Atlanta, only for one day a week.
Wow.
But I said, let's go. I just feel like there's something better there. And then the one day turned into two.
Yes.
And then the two turned into meeting Psy
Yes.
and Banks, and then he told you the rest of it. And then here we are at a point where we want Atlanta to realize, quality-wise,
Yes.
this is the best show as far as content and everything else. This is it.
Yes, indeed.
And,
Well, speaking of content, that's what me and my co-host Terrence, we love to talk about things that are prevalent in the black community. One of the things we want to touch upon is how stereotypes only seem to apply to us black men.
Yes.
Whereas we go back to the Trayvon Martin, and there was so many black people came out talking about, well, he had on a hood, and these young kids today and how they dress. But yet and still, every school shooting, every movie theater shooting,
Yep.
it's by white kids. Not one with a black with a hoodie. But yet our kids are the ones that everyone should be afraid of. And that to me is bothersome, because even when I hear other black men talk about how we all need to be in shirt and ties, I think about, what was it, the professor in Boston?
Right.
Who got arrested going into his own house?
Right.
yeah.
And
Yes,
he wasn't in a
absolutely.
hood.
Right.
So I'd like to hear your take, two guys who are in the music, Chubb, in the entertainment industry, Simon, with the vast background you've come from industry. What's your take on how, things are portrayed and how we can fix that as far as us in the black community?
What do you think?
Well, the amount of black men, unfortunately, in prison,
Yes.
it's crazy as far as the percentages of black men in prison. Obviously, we're targeted more. There's a good percentage of us. If a policeman is driving behind us in a car and we have our license and our insurance and our cards, and probably still get panicky,
Right.
right? Because so there's this kind of embedded spleen already about the fact that we know that we can kind of be railroaded,
Mm-hmm.
very easily, And, I remember doing some research one day, and I don't remember a white person being accused of a crime, being sent to prison, and they find out that he didn't do it.
Right.
I've never seen that story. I went looking for it
Right.
because I know there's many for black men,
Absolutely.
but I haven't seen that story yet. So, we know that things can happen for us that will change our lives like this.
Okay.
So it becomes a very serious situation with these stereotypes, because stereotypes is almost like food.
Right.
And there's good food and there's bad food.
Mm-hmm.
And you can ingest that food. And black people can ingest it too.
Right.
Because if that's all you're given, hey, 2 young black boys did this, 3 young black boys did this,
Right.
4 black men did this,
Right.
these black men did, if that's all you're getting,
Right.
and you're going to ingest that, at some point you might actually say, wow, I got to be afraid of my own
Absolutely.
people and this and that and boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And what we try to do with the platform we have is just to say, listen, this is not the whole story.
Right.
And we don't have a lot of time to say it.
Right.
That's why I call Side a truncator, because when we try to come up with these things, I get
Truncated.
emotional
Yeah.
and I have all these things and I say, Ty, okay, make it Convert it so it makes sense.
Yes,
That's able to be distributed with enough nutrients that you can say, okay, we got to get away from these stereotypes. We got to understand, the value of black men and things of that nature.
Absolutely. Si?
I think he pretty much hit it. I mean, we've been fed this diet of fearful scenarios and pictures and images and thought processes for so long that it's easy for the entire community to become afraid of black men. Now, I got to say that there are a lot of black men that continue to play into the stereotypes.
Yes, sir.
They continue to live up to that name and that reputation. They want to be hard and want to be this and that and the other and keep getting caught doing stuff. But there are a lot of situations and instances, as Chubb mentioned, where, brothers were just in the wrong place at the wrong time and were accused of something and put in jail for half their life. And, later on with technology have been found to be innocent. So,
Right.
But I still think that it kind of fed into the mindset of many, many people
Right.
to be afraid of us. But not all of us are that way. Just like he said, not all food is bad.
Right.
We just have to make sure we eat the right thing and do the right thing.
Quick question for you guys. Having said all of that, what do you think we can do as black men? We all have a forum and or media outlet. What can we do to encourage and or help our young brothers, those that are willing to listen, to turn away from that? Because, again, our entertainers are still sensationalizing, sagging, robbing, stealing, killing. It's, unfortunately, we still feed into that in the media, in the entertainment industry. What can we do?
I think we're doing part of it now. I mean, you guys are very, very sharp, dressed in suits. You're not talking in a slang tone. You're presenting yourselves properly. We're a little more casual, but we're still trying to represent as well.
Absolutely.
And I think we're doing that. We just need to continue to not be afraid of our own young men. And when we see them doing something that they can improve, give them that suggestion. Now, they may or may not accept it, but we shouldn't be afraid to tell a young man, look, brother, let me just suggest something to you.
Right.
Food for thought.
Right.
And if we continue to do that to high school students, to elementary and middle school students and college students,
Right.
I think we can all make it a better place, but we can't be afraid of ourselves.
I think what happens also in the media is who they choose to praise.
Right.
So they praise athletes.
Yes.
So the kids say, well, if you want that kind of praise, you have to be an athlete.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm not going to be 6'11". I'm not going to, be 300 pounds of muscle, so I know I'm not going to be an athlete. Okay, who else gets praise?
Right.
Well, okay, black doctors are going to get praised and black lawyers, and then the kids go and says, okay, well, I got to be a black doctor or a lawyer to get praised. That's not really my thing.
Right.
Or whatever. Then you might go to actors and stuff. But they forget all the other good people.
Yes.
The plumber.
Yes.
Because the plumber, you're not going to sit there and think a plumber's making $100,000 a year or more.
Right.
Or the electrician or the carpenter or, a sanitation worker, New Yorker knows. Sanitation worker, 6 figures and better.
Yeah.
Wow.
But,
6 figures.
but you, in New York City,
Yes.
but you can't go to a young guy and say, and he's coming out of high school and say, take that city test and become a sanitation worker. All he knows is athlete, rapper,
Yep.
actor,
Yep.
at this point now, reality TV person,
Yes.
and he doesn't know nothing else,
Yes.
period. Right? And our young women, that's even worse, right? So they only know, reality TV, model.
Right.
So the other praise needs to happen. There's so many other things, that people do. My father had a simple job and took care of his children and everything else. It doesn't have to be so glamorous all the time.
Well, I think that's a very interesting dynamic that's going on now in the black community because, like you said, the guys are young. The girls are young.
Right.
So what position you think the guys are going to take that's going to create them to get the women? There's no woman a young girl says, I want a guy who's a sanitation worker. She's looking for the guy who's an athlete, the guy with the nice car, the things of that nature. So that pushes our guys into that because I want to get that pretty young lady. I want to have her, but I can't go to her if I tell her, I just, deliver newspapers or I'm going to school, I'm an apprentice for an accounting. So men gravitate towards those positions because that's the best way to attract women.
Now, hold that thought before you answer that. Let's take a break on the radio real
Yeah,
quick
let's do it.
because we've been talking, big baby. Let's do this thing.
bar and grill. All this fun under one roof.
All right, we're back here at Overtime ATL with our wonderful guest, Sideman, baby.
What's up, big baby?
And the one and only Chubb Rock, Brooklyn, stand up.
Treat him right.
We're in the middle of a conversation, and we want to talk about how it's very hard to ascertain. It's extremely arduous nowadays for young men to go ahead and perceive a normal, ordinary life. Is that possible? As Chubb previously alluded to before, we're not talking about a guy being an electrician or a sanitation worker like in New York City, which makes over $100K a year. And the reason I think that is because women aren't looking for that. They're not looking for, especially when they're young. So we're talking about people in their 18s and their teens and their 20s. Are you talking to a real young lady who's saying, yeah, I like to date a guy who's a sanitation who provides me with security? Maybe an older woman is. But how can we change that now? What do you think, Si?
Oh, wow. That's just going to have to be, wow. I don't know. The flat, honest truth is I don't know, because most of the images we have, even with the reality shows, is people renting houses that they can't afford and living these lifestyles, going to these expensive restaurants and eating and fighting and fussing and arguing and, living this glamorous life. So I don't know. I really honestly don't know, but I think it's something we need to at least try to work on.
Well, even listening to your show today, which is on every day, Monday through Friday, The Ride, make sure you catch that on 107.5, Chubb Rock, Sideman, from 3 to 7 every day. I heard you talking to the women, and they were talking about the 3 things that they like in a man.
Right.
But I'm quite sure when they're in their 20s, you would get 3 different things that they like in a man.
Probably.
So as a young man, like we talked about, you want to be an athlete. You want to be the actor. What did you think is the best way for the young man to portray his life so that he could be more appealing to that young woman?
I don't think it has anything to do with, I think women, even young women, shouldn't think about what does he drive or how much money does he have.
Right.
They need to understand what kind of person you want.
Absolutely.
So but you heard the answers that our listeners said. It had nothing to do with looks or any of that stuff. It had to do with independence and having your own place and having pride for things that you've created, like your own place, have a job. She didn't even say what kind of job. It wasn't like there was a set how much you have to make. But do you think honesty was the first answer, integrity, and things of that nature? And I think that those qualities are what women and young women need to ask first.
Right.
That's what's important.
Right.
Because money leaves and spends and life goes in ups and downs and sideways and lefts and this.
Right.
And if you have the right mate, none of that stuff matters.
Right.
None of that stuff matters if you
Yeah.
have the right mate. You can have just a 1-bedroom and you're happy like you've never seen.
Absolutely.
Because the importance is what's in that little connection within 4 feet. She lays here and you lay here.
Right.
You know,
Right.
whatever that is.
Right.
There you go.
Maybe me 5 feet.
Right.
But all that other stuff means nothing. I mean, that's the beauty of when you get a chance to work, for me, work with certain people, with Banks, they're just no pretentious nothing.
Right.
We're brothers. We talk about things. We talk about what's going on with us, and none of it has to do with where we have to show off for each other and say, "Oh, I have this."
Oh, good, because I don't have anything.
As the wise man said.
That's a good thing, man.
Yo, I'm telling you, we don't got. We want to, and I don't want to say it in a negative way, like, "Hey, our time is over." Our time is not our concentration. Our kids' time is our concentration.
That's right.
So we don't care about. I don't need to impress nobody with fancy watches and all of this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Or, fancy clothes and all that. And we're concentrating on school tuitions and, making sure that our kids understand the values of life and what's really important. And that's it. And this is a means to do it. And just lucky for us that it's a means to do that while we have fun working with good people.
Absolutely.
And things of that nature.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Yeah, guys, I'm real curious, though. Being that you are Sideman Baby, it is what it is, and you are the Chubbster, Chubb Rock. If a young man or young lady wanted to aspire to be who and what you guys have accomplished, how would you suggest they do that? Where would they start?
He invites people all the time.
I
Students,
yeah.
all of that stuff.
But I invite people up so that they can sit in with us and watch, hopefully just to become inspired.
Yes.
Because really, when you break it down, I told some students this the other day. Do you know how old the internet is? In March of 2014, the internet turned 25 years old.
Absolutely.
The internet is a child.
Yeah, 84.
The internet is very young.
Yes, sir.
So the internet has changed the way people do everything. Now you have YouTube. Now you have social media sites. Now you have internet radio capabilities that didn't exist when I started on the radio.
Right.
So I suggest to those students when they do come up here to use all of that to create their own image and create their own hype, create their own buzz.
Yes.
And that's the best advice I can give. Shows like yours, continue to build your show, invite people to it, build your audience, do your thing, and after a while you're going to be running things for real. I mean, you're running things now, but you're going to be running even more.
Yes, sir.
And that's my best advice to anybody. Use everything available to you, thanks to the internet and modern technology,
Yes, sir.
to your advantage.
Absolutely.
And make it work.
Totally. And I will say this, too. When you deal with students, and we're talking about the images, I will challenge people to find another personality in the Atlanta area, radio, television, that does more career days, school visits than Side Man Baby.
Yep.
If you can find me another person that does more in the media in Atlanta, I'll buy you dinner.
Wow.
Okay? But I'm telling you, there is no one. I'm trying to keep up, and it's hard. There's no other person. And he goes there to speak to those kids, and then I try to go, and we talk to them about life, music, because being that some of them want to get involved with music,
Right.
try to show them the realities of some of that. Like,
Absolutely.
it ain't all,
Glamorous,
what you think it is,
Right.
and things of that nature.
Right.
Then we talk about broadcasting and stuff like that. And you give them some kind of alternative.
Right.
To say, hey, it isn't always just doctor or the street.
Right.
I think kids think, well, I'm not going to be a doctor, so I guess I'm going to go here.
Right.
And no, there's a lot of other things to grab,
absolutely.
to grab and stuff.
Between.
But, because they took so many things out of school, music is out of school,
Yes.
and all these other, So I'm glad that Side does the great job he does in the schools, and it just, he has the energy. Like, his energy is crazy for that stuff.
Yes,
So
indeed.
we try
Yeah.
to do whatever we can.
Yes, indeed.
And I appreciate your support, brother. I do.
Yes.
And
I
I
do.
appreciate you guys because that's why we are definitely in need of voices, a platform that you
Yes.
guys provide for us black men. And like I said, I encourage everybody, 107.5 every day, The Ride, Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. And we can't forget about Chubb digging in the crates on the weekends.
Yes.
Appreciate it. And I like to say one thing in closing. It isn't all about criticism. Criticism doesn't get anything done. If you don't like something that a young man is doing or even an older man is doing, the approach to them is not criticism.
Right.
The approach is, brother, you can do better.
Direction.
How about we sit down and flush it out?
Yeah.
Because everybody makes mistakes. We're not the judge of people.
Right.
And criticism doesn't get anything done. I'm just a big believer in that.
Right.
Oh, he's such and such. Oh, no, he's such and nah. That won't get nothing done. To be able to go to a brother and he's doing something wrong in the streets or doing something wrong in his life or with his, man, I would love to talk to you and even not to dwell on what you're doing, but how you can change that and go forward.
Sure.
That's my last thing.
Real quick, before we get out of here, we just want to find out what these guys are doing next. So, Side, tell us what's up next for the Side Man.
Wow, man. You know what? We just do our thing here regularly in the city. We do a Tuesday night at the Crab Boil. We hang out Fridays at Taboo, Saturdays at Karma, Sundays at Frank Ski's. We're out here doing things in the city and doing all kinds of community stuff. But I'm all around the ATL.
Sorry.
And Chubb, let us know what you got next. What can we see the Chubbster?
Man, my concentration is The Ride, is the make this the number one show in the afternoons in Atlanta, and that's it. You put it out there in the universe, That's my focus.
But
That's it.
But he's still doing gigs every weekend. This brother works with me all week and then goes all around the country and does parties and does gigs every weekend.
You know, that's the feel-good stuff. You know, get a chance to keep that stuff alive. But the main focus, the ride, you can catch us on the Ride ATL on Instagram, and it's the Ride every day, 3 to 7 p.m. on Magic 107.5, 975. That's the future.
And guys, the way we normally wrap and end our shows, we always like to end the show on a positive note with our food for thought or our words of wisdom, so to speak. And I'd like to open that floor up to Simon and start with the words of wisdom. So for those that are watching, what would you leave?
My words of wisdom are very simple. Stay positive every day. Treat people the way you want to be treated. There's nothing new to my conversation. And live every day like you ain't gonna have too long to live. So get it all in. You know, don't be afraid to live life and have fun doing it. That's it.
Beautiful. Chubb Rock.
There's the GFFG, man. God, family, friends, back to God.
Yes, indeed.
That's it.
There you have it, people. You heard it live. Overtime ATL. We'll see you next time.
Overtime. See you guys.